Every election year, Democrats seem to remember patriotism for about an hour at their convention when they're trying to win back swing voters. The whole message of Kamala's speech in 2024 was take back the flag. That's why she talked about America like a pageant contestant. Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school?
As America marked its 250th anniversary, Bill Maher delivered a message that caught many Democrats completely off guard. There was no careful wording or polite restraint. On live television, he criticized his own party point by point, making it clear he wasn't interested in holding anything back. Before we get into everything he said, take a second to subscribe if you enjoy quick political breakdowns and commentary. Now let's dive into the moment that has everyone talking.
And finally, new rule, the smartest thing Democrats did this year was finding their patriotism again. If you told me a year ago that if Kamala Harris would be the nominee and in her acceptance speech, she would use the word privilege, I would not have guessed that she used it the way she did.
The greatest privilege on earth. The privilege and pride of being an American.
Yeah, and Tim Walz also began his speech with a great line saying, we're all here tonight for one beautiful, simple reason. We love this country.
Maher wasn't praising a new agenda or celebrating a political platform. Instead, he pointed to what he saw as a sudden change in attitude, giving Democrats credit only for acting more supportive of America. His argument was simple. The party embraces patriotic messaging when elections approach, but abandons that tone once the campaign is over. In his view, the convention felt more like a carefully staged performance than a genuine shift, leaving many voters unconvinced after years of criticism. Maher then voiced what he suggested many Democratic strategists already understand, but rarely admit publicly.
Every election year, Democrats seem to remember patriotism for about an hour at their convention when they're trying to win back swing voters. The whole message of Kamala's speech in 2024 was take back the flag. That's why she talked about America like a pageant contestant.
The greatest privilege on earth. The privilege and pride of being an American.
Hard to believe she lost, huh? Well, you can't take back the flag in an hour if the rest of the time you treat patriotism as something vaguely embarrassing.
Maher argued that this is the problem many people within the party refuse to acknowledge. In his view, years of criticism toward America cannot be erased by displaying patriotic symbols during a single campaign event. He believes voters pay attention. They remember the dismissive reactions, the repeated focus on the country's flaws, the lack of enthusiasm during national celebrations, and the louder support shown at protests. According to Maher, that perception, not campaign strategy or the vice presidential pick, was the biggest reason Kamala Harris struggled. By the time she took the stage, he argued, the party's image had already been damaged.
I wore it every day, and nobody thought it meant that I loved Nixon. Because 50 years ago, liberals didn't concede patriotism. Abbie Hoffman was the quintessential 60s radical, and when he had to appear before the House Un-American Activities Committee, he wore an American flag shirt, which some cops later ripped off his back. Because the message that most threatens authoritarians isn't America sucks, it's America is ours too.
Maher pointed to an earlier era, arguing that many of the country's most outspoken progressives once embraced the American flag instead of distancing themselves from it. They insisted that patriotism belonged to everyone, not only those in government. In his view, that approach made their message stronger because they fought to reclaim the country's identity rather than surrender it. He believes today's left made the opposite choice by stepping away from symbols like the flag, the national anthem, and expressions of national pride. According to Maher, that shift helps explain why so many working-class voters no longer feel connected to the party.
To run for office in America, you have to want to live here. I bring this up because there was a video that made the rounds recently by a woman who said she was a proud progressive and was running for state representative in New Hampshire, and yet posted this.
Is there a place we can move that people would be happy to have us, that we're not gentrifying or colonizing? I don't want to be a problem, but I need to get this country.
This country. The one you want to be elected to a leadership position in? What was your campaign slogan? America, a shining shithole on a hill?
Maher argued that this is where he believes the party has gone off course. He pointed to a candidate seeking public office, while openly expressing a desire to leave the very country she hoped to represent. In his view, this wasn't just a one-time example, but part of a broader pattern within today's left. He described it as a mindset where some political figures appear disconnected from the nation they want to govern, treating public service more like an obligation than a privilege. The audience responded with laughter because, Maher suggested, many people in the room immediately recognized that type of personality. He believes this growing disconnect is one of the main reasons the party struggles to connect with voters beyond its own circles. He then delivered what he framed as the point many Americans had been waiting to hear.
Yeah, and I'm confused by this political message. Vote for me because I hate it here. Now, does America have big problems? Yes, I've often cited the America sucks list. Things like being 54th in the world in infant mortality behind Cuba, 19th in literacy behind Russia, 72nd in female representation in government behind Iraq. A lot of work to do here. And is it possible for a country to lose itself so much that leaving it is justified? Yes, but we're not there yet, not by a long shot, and we don't need quitters. We need people who will stay and fix it.
Maher's conclusion was clear. He argued that America is far from beyond saving, and that constantly acting as if the country cannot be fixed isn't a sign of leadership. In his view, the Democratic Party could change its image by focusing on solving problems instead of talking about walking away from them. He believes the people who truly care about the country are those willing to improve it, not those who only highlight its flaws. He also pointed to polling that he said supports his argument. According to Gallup's 2025 survey, just 36% of Democrats said they were extremely or very proud to be American, down from 62% a year earlier, a 26-point decline. By comparison, 92% of Republicans gave that response, creating the widest gap in national pride Gallup has recorded.
Maybe the problem isn't that America isn't worth defending. Maybe the problem is that lots of people today are entitled whiners who have no perspective and no idea how good they have it. 59% of self-identified liberals say there have been times when they considered leaving America for good, like after NBC canceled The West Wing. I don't get it. You want so badly for every immigrant to come to this country and experience the good life, but somehow it's so terrible you want to leave?
Maher argued that this statistic speaks for itself. He said many people who identify as liberals have, at one point, considered leaving the same country they say they want to improve. In his view, that isn't a minor inconsistency. It's the central problem. He questioned how a movement can encourage others to see opportunity in America, while some of its own supporters talk about leaving it behind. Maher described that mindset as less of a political vision and more of a personal frustration playing out in public. He believes voters recognize that contradiction and that it shapes how they view the party every time these conversations come up.
Less than 1 in 4 Democrats under 30 say they're proud to be an American. 54% say they're embarrassed by it. Embarrassed? Like America's your mom picking you up at school? You're embarrassed to be an American? Well, guess what? The feeling's mutual, because you have no perspective.
Maher argued that this is the deeper issue. He believes the generation enjoying the greatest benefits of American freedom is also the one most likely to express disappointment in the country. Pointing to a Harvard youth poll, he noted that 54% of young Democrats said they felt embarrassed to be American. From Maher's perspective, these are not people lacking opportunity, but young adults surrounded by conveniences made possible by the country they criticize. He highlighted the technology, services, and online platforms they use every day as examples. In his view, this attitude reflects not greater political awareness, but a sense of privilege that has lost perspective.
So I'm not down with this attitude of, well, we're having a party, but if Trump's going, I'm not. That's so high school it should be in the Epstein files.
Ooh. Oh.
Go to the party. It's a big celebration. You probably won't run into him.
Maher said he finds this mindset hard to take seriously. He argued that some adults with successful careers and higher education refuse to celebrate America's Independence Day simply because they dislike the current political leadership. In his view, that reflects an immature approach that has become common on the modern left. He believes too much attention is placed on the individuals involved instead of the meaning behind the occasion itself. Maher argued that mature citizens can celebrate their country no matter who happens to be in office, because the nation is larger than any single leader. He believes many in today's liberal movement have lost sight of that distinction.
If, for your exile, you do wind up in some comparatively luxurious place like Canada or Japan or the UK, not that they want you. At best, you'll be trading a bunch of stuff you hate about this country for a bunch of stuff you'll soon hate about your new home. It took me only 4 days in Amsterdam to learn that while I admire Amsterdam, I don't want to live there. The buildings are cramped and shaped like needles. The food is awful. The TV's in a different language. It's wet and cold. The people are polite but cold. So talk to your children and remind them, you don't really want to live like your heroes in Hamas. All the shit you do all day, it was all made in America. Your smartphone, your Grubhub, your freedom to bitch about America, that's all American stuff. If the thought leaders in the Democratic Party keep encouraging and not rebuking the idea that America is cringe and the people who run Gaza are great, the Democrats are doomed.
Maher argued that this may be one of the biggest mistakes his own party has made. In his view, Democrats have become too focused on dividing voters into demographic groups instead of connecting with them as individuals. He believes many critics see that strategy as dismissive rather than persuasive, and says it has contributed to the party's struggles at the ballot box. According to Maher, most people aren't driven by labels or categories. They're thinking about their families, their finances, their security, and what lies ahead. He argued that when voters feel reduced to an identity instead of treated like people, they eventually look elsewhere.
You're still building your politics around slicing and dicing people into these fixed categories. Democrats need to get the memo that you can't win elections anymore by automatically assuming you're going to get every voter who's not these guys. The more you obsess over identity, the more you ignore the bread and butter issues that win and lose elections. The real issue is class, not race, and the real gap is the diploma divide, and the real future of the party and maybe democracy depends on Democrats figuring that out.
According to Maher, this was the turning point the party should never have ignored. He pointed out that some of the country's most influential voices, along with millions of working-class men, once stood with Democrats. In his view, they didn't walk away because of policy differences. They left because of the party's attitude. Maher believes Democrats stopped listening and started lecturing, making many men feel their interests, values, humor, and everyday lives were being dismissed. As a result, those voters moved on, and in his opinion, the party has spent very little time asking why.
And now one idea that's getting a lot of attention is the Dems need to find their Joe Rogan, a liberal Joe Rogan, because that's why Kamala lost. Republicans have a podcast. Okay, maybe. Or you could consider this. Instead of conjuring up a new Joe Rogan, ask yourself why you lost the old one. Because he used to be on your side. He smokes pot on the air. I don't think he's that much of a far-right ideologue. I don't think his mind is completely inflexible. His neck, yes. But not his mind. And he's expressed unease with some things Trump is doing, as has a certain disgruntled former employee named Elon Musk, who, like Joe, is another guy who 5 years ago was thought of as a liberal, but got driven into the other camp by bad attitudes and bad ideas, a reversal I completely understand, although I would never emulate. I also see the woke mind virus. I just don't jump from frying pans into fires.
Maher ended by saying the world's actions speak louder than political rhetoric. He argued that millions still want to come to America, proving its appeal remains strong. In his view, Democrats must reconnect with everyday voters or keep losing support. What do you think? Comment below, like the video, and subscribe for more.
To ask, why do millions of people every year risk their lives to come here? Because because they want what we got. The founders were flawed, but they did build a place the whole world wants to break into. No one is paying a coyote to smuggle them into India or Russia. Immigrants don't see us as the problem. They see us as the solution. And there's a reason they themselves together.